Willkommen and welcome back to our second lesson of this course. I'm Taya and I'm going to be your teacher. Shall we start? For this course, we are going to mainly focus on the present perfect in the German language. The present perfect is either das Perfekt or Vergangenheit, and this word is going to be used the most in this course. Das Perfekt, Vergangenheit. In other words, we are going to learn how to build sentences in the past. The first thing you need to know is that in the German language, if you want to build a verb in the present perfect, you need a second verb. And this verb is either haben or sein. Haben or sein are going to come first, and the second verb is going to be the last word of the sentence. Now, the question is, when are you supposed to use to have and when are you supposed to use the verb to be, haben or sein? There is a rule. It does apply for like 80 to 85% of the verbs. There are some exceptions and we are going to go through them in this course. This rule says that verbs that don't include movement in them, such as to write, to read, to have something, during those verbs you don't have to move, right? Therefore, if you want to use those verbs in the Vergangenheit or in the present perfect, you use haben. So it would be the pronoun, the fitting form of the verb haben, ich habe, du hast, sie es hat, and so on, plus the new form of the main verb. And the same thing applies to sein. However, with sein, you usually choose verbs that do include movement in them, like to go, to ride, to fly. Do you see the difference? And again, you would add the pronoun with the fitting form of the verb sein, ich bin, du bist, sie es ist, plus the new form of the verb. Let's go through some verbs to see how we can use them. This is how we are going to learn Vergangenheit. First, we are going to go through the present forms, and at the end, as you can see, there would be an example of how to use it in the present perfect. Sein, as you know, is the verb to be. Therefore, you say ich bin, du bist, sie es ist, wir sind, ihr seid, and sie sind. All of those things are old stuff to you. However, in the present perfect or in the Vergangenheit, you say ich bin, the pronoun, plus the present form of the verb sein, plus gewesen. And gewesen comes from the verb sein. In other words, gewesen is the Vergangenheitsform of the verb sein. Ich bin gewesen, du bist gewesen, ist gewesen, and so on. gewesen always stays the same. It never changes, regardless of the pronoun. Let's try with the verb to fly. First of all, think about it. To fly, it does sound like a verb that you move in it. Therefore, we use sein in the Vergangenheit. But before that, let's see how we can use it in the present. Ich fliege, du fliegst, es fliegt, wir fliegen, ihr fliegt, and sie fliegen. And now, in the present perfect, geflogen is the new form. Geflogen. So it's going to be ich bin geflogen, du bist geflogen, ist geflogen, wir sind geflogen, ihr seid geflogen, and sie sind geflogen. So geflogen is unchangeable, and the verb sein is going to change to fit the pronoun. There is one more thing to be careful for. Geflogen, or the second verb in the Vergangenheit, is always at the end of the sentence. Ich bin geflogen. Geflogen is always going to be at the end. For example, if you want to say, I flew yesterday, ich bin gestern geflogen. Gestern means yesterday. Ich bin gestern geflogen. Therefore, geflogen is at the end of the sentence. This is really important. This verb is one of the exceptions I talked about. To stay is obviously a verb where you don't move. However, in the German language, you use the verb sein if you want to say the verb bleiben in the Vergangenheit. In the present, it goes like this. Ich bleibe, du bleibst, es bleibt, wir bleiben, ihr bleibt, and sie bleiben. And in the Vergangenheit, you say, ich bin geblieben. Ich bin geblieben. Sadly, there isn't a rule that tells you how the Vergangenheitsform of the verbs are going to look like. Therefore, you have to learn them as they are. But they either end with en or with t, most of them. But you always have to be careful. So my advice to you is to learn them as they are with the verb in the present. Think about it as a mind game. Bleiben is geblieben. Sein is gewesen, and so on. And with time and with practice, you are not going to think about it. The words are going to just come out of your mouth. Schreiben means to write. And here you use haben because you don't actually move a lot in it. Ich schreibe. Du schreibst. Es schreibt. Wir schreiben. Ihr schreibt. and sie schreiben. In der Vergangenheit, you say, ich habe geschrieben. Ich habe geschrieben. Geschrieben is the word that you have to learn by heart, and the word that is unchangeable, and the word that is going to be at the end of the sentence. So those are the main things you have to know about Vergangenheit. Verbs are going to be learned by heart. They are unchangeable, regardless of the pronoun. And finally, they are going to be at the end of the sentences. The verbs haben and sein are going to be the verbs that come right after the pronoun. The verb to take means nehmen. Nehmen. And it goes like this. Ich nehme. Du nimmst. You change A into E. Sie es nimmt. Wir nehmen. Ihr nehmt. And sie nehmen. In der Vergangenheit, you say, ich habe genommen. Ich habe genommen. With double M. To meet, like to meet with friends and so on, means treffen. Treffen. Ich treffe. Du triffst. So it's just like nehmen, where A is going to be E. Sie es trifft. Wir treffen. Ihr trefft. And sie treffen. And the verb treffen takes haben. So it's going to be like ich habe getroffen. Ich habe getroffen. The same thing goes with finden, to find. It also takes the verb haben. So it's ich finde, du findest, sie es findet, wir finden, ihr findet, and sie finden. In der Vergangenheit, it's ich habe gefunden. Ich habe gefunden. Schneiden is to cut. Schneiden. Ich schneide. Du schneidest. Sie es schneidet. Wir schneiden. Ihr schneidet. And sie schneiden. It also takes the verb haben. Therefore you say, ich habe geschnitten. Ich habe geschnitten. The verb to come, however, here you use sein because it's the verb that you move in it. Kommen. You say, ich komme, du kommst, es kommt, wir kommen, ihr kommt, and sie kommen. In der Vergangenheit, you say, ich bin gekommen. So here, you only have to add ge at the beginning. Ich bin gekommen. Let's see how we are doing. Read those verbs and try to translate them with the correct pronouns. Let's see if you've got it right. I took. Ich habe genommen. She came. Sie ist gekommen. They found. Sie haben gefunden. You ran. Du bist gelaufen. This verb is from the first lesson. We stayed. Wir sind geblieben. You were. Du bist gewesen. If you use the pronoun ihr in this sentence, that's also correct. Du bist gewesen. Ihr seid gewesen. And finally, I had. Ich habe gehabt. Let's try it again. The correct answers are I met, ich habe getroffen. She ran, by using the verb rennen. Sie ist gerannt. They wrote. Sie haben geschrieben. You saw. Du hast gesehen. Or ihr habt gesehen. We drank. Wir haben getrunken. You had is either ihr habt gehabt or du hast gehabt. And finally, I flew. Ich bin geflogen. Ich bin geflogen. Gratuliere! That was the end of this lesson. I hope it wasn't that complicated. In case it was, go through it one more time and see if it gets any better. And in the next lessons, we are going to talk about this subject more and more. So don't worry about it. Until then, bye-bye!